You're welcome back, Steve Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network. Joining me this evening to take a look at some of the interesting issues we have on our menu is Ipalibo. Ipalibo, good evening to you and welcome to the show.
Yeah, good evening. I'm Kingsley Emmanuel. I'm so happy to be here on this special edition, of Sport Extraordinaire.
All right, so let's quickly start the show this evening with table tennis as Nigeria's table tennis star and the highest ranked player in Africa, Quadri Aruna, will begin his season at the WTT Championship in Doha today when he will take on China's Ling Changkung in a men's round of 32 clash. Aruna returns to the World Table Tennis event in 2026 after the disappointment of missing out on the end of the year World Table Tennis Cup Finals in 2025. 37-year-old and Africa's top female player Hannah Konda of Egypt will open their 2026 campaigns today at the event in Qatar, competing for a share of $500,000 prize purse. All right, our concern here is really on the man, Aruna Quadri. I don't know, it's not been a rosy one for Aruna for some years now to say. It's been finding it difficult to go far in any competition. It's a new year, for Aruna Quadri, new season for him to continue to try. How do you see Aruna, of course, putting things this year when it has to do with table tennis?
Yeah, you look at Aruna Quadri, he's one of Africa's, biggest sporting exports at 37 years, he still finds a way, to compete against the greatest, to compete, to be there at the highest levels on the highest stages. WTT finals, 2025 was not a good one for him, but coming up against Liang Jingchong King Likong, it's going to be a tough one for him. But we've seen Aruna Quadri, he thrives most as an underdog going into this one. So you look at most of the victory Aruna Quadri has gotten, he thrives as an underdog, and I think he has to do better than he did last year. Aruna Quadri is a very competitive person. He has the experience, and though the age is not on his side, he doesn't have the youthfulness again. But he's going to use experience. I think he's learning, he's in a transition stage where he's learning how to use his strength to his greatest use. So it's going to be a good one for us to see Aruna Quadri do better in the WTT. But my biggest problem is we do not have the lack of African players at the WTT. He's the only African player there in this edition, and I think it's really a call for concern for me.
I think we also have players coming from Egypt, to also compete in this particular one. So we're also going to see, I think, some other African players, in this one as well, not only Aruna Quadri. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and see if Aruna Quadri, of course, will take things high this time around. And away from that, former two-time UFC middleweight champion Israel Adesanya has ruled out a move to boxing after his mixed martial arts career ends, insisting his legacy will be completed in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The Nigerian New Zealander, who currently sits at number 6 in the UFC middleweights rankings, made his position clear during a Q&A section of the Back to Muay Thai and MMA in Thailand. The 35-year-old former kickboxer explained that why he briefly considered boxing after contemplating his financial woes, he ultimately decided to remain loyal to the UFC. Israel Adesanya, some persons, of course, thinks, he would do well if he switched things, to boxing. I don't know what you make of it. Do you see Adesanya, putting up a good performance, in boxing?
In the era where these fighters chase crossover money. There's mad money in boxing, and a lot of these people choose money over legacy. And for Israel Adesanya, he has chosen his legacy over money for me. And yes, he's on a losing run, but he's no longer chasing the belt. You look at Israel Adesanya, for me, he has achieved everything as a UFC fighter. Whatever it is, he has been to the highest level. So for me, being inducted into the Hall of Fame already in UFC is something that he's okay with. He has chosen, his legacy over money for me. He understands when to rise and when to walk away. He understands the timing of sports. I mean, it's best for you to bow us, when the ovation is very high. So for For Adesanya, he's not running away from boxing. I mean, someone who is protecting his story and his legacy as a whole.
Adesanya, talking about, his poor performance, from what we're seeing so far, do you see him bouncing back? He's been away from the game for some time now, and no one really knows the situation of things, if he's coming back, if he's maybe going to retire, as it stands. What do you make of Israel Adesanya? Do you see him bouncing back, to the ring?
I think Israel Adesanya does not right now. He doesn't have the body and movement, or he's not giving the message. He's not passing the message that he's likely to return. I mean, this is man who is okay with what he has. He feels accomplished in UFC, and he's already proud of what he has. So I mean, I highly doubt it that Israel Adesanya would want to retire. Picking up the glove again. But I mean, it's not something that I would be surprised about. It's not something that is rare in a UFC. So for Israel Adesanya, while the opportunity and the chances are there, I do not believe Israel Adesanya is thinking of coming back currently.
All right, look forward to see what comes up for Israel Adesanya. Is he going to bounce back to the ring, the UFC ring? We'll keep our fingers crossed on that. A whole lot around the man. Let's see what, of course, the future hold for Israel Adesanya. Let's talk football on the show this evening, and we'll be more particular about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, because Nigerians are really anticipating that encounter against, Algeria this weekend. Ipalibo, of course, yesterday we got to reports. We know that one, of course, was a little bit sketchy, that the Nigerian Football Federation, they've not paid the Super Eagles players their match bonuses in the games they played in the group stage of the African Cup of Nations. And it calls for a lot of worry, because the players refused to travel to Marrakesh yesterday, but we hear that they are on their way, to Marrakesh, of course, to prepare for that encounter against Algeria, on Saturday. But some Nigerians are not happy with the story, because it has been a recurring decimal that every tournament, the Super Eagles players will always protest, for their match bonuses. What could be the problem? We hear that Cheo Diko, of course, also came out to say that the bonuses are on their way down to, Morocco as it stands. So what do you make of this back and forth every time when it comes to match bonuses for the Super Eagles players?
I think it's not a good situation. It's not a good situation we have to find ourselves in. As big as the Nigeria Football Federation is, and the Super Eagles is a big problem, and it's a big shame that we still have to deal with issues like this, at the highest stages. I mean, come on, this is during the AFCON tournament, where we are already in high spirit, and we do not need to be receiving such news like this. I mean, these are self-sabotage that we are doing to ourselves already, because this is our self-inflicted problems. I feel going into this competition, this should have been settled already. We shouldn't have this problem. You look at yesterday, we saw today, I mean, the Minister of State for Finance, have come out to say that the money has been processed, and, the money is getting into the players' accounts today. So, I mean, we do not need to have issues like this. This ought to have been settled already. We need to be organized. We need to be proactive as a country and as a football federation. I mean, you do not see other African countries having these issues. We do not hear of Morocco. We do not hear of Ghana. And not to disrespect Benin Republic, but countries like Benin Republic, Togo, Mali, you do not hear them having such kind of issues. And as a team and as a brand as big as the NFF, we shouldn't have this kind of issues. These are issues that are supposed to, it should be unheard of for me. So I mean, it's something that is really shameful as a Nigerian, that we have to go through this again. It's a big problem, and these issues do not need to repeat itself. I mean, just 2 months ago, in November, against Gabon, we faced the same issue, players refusing to train, players refusing to travel, based on same salary disputes. And it wasn't a good one, and it was settled. And I think the NFF needs to understand that this is a fragile squad, and this is not a squad that you should play games with. This is what the squad have shown, that they need their money on time if you want them to do their job. I mean, this squad is standing on business, and I would like the other arms of the football teams, you know, to also stand on business. We cannot accept mediocrity. This is mediocrity on the part of the NFF, and I mean, it needs to be resolved.
Needs to be resolved, you know, as it stands, and we hope that the Nigerian Football Federation would do everything to make sure that these players are paid their match bonuses, you know, going forward. But if Volleyball taking a look at it, this could, of course, be a distraction, you know, to the team. A lot of distraction we've seen in a couple of days. First was the issue between Osimhen and Ademola Lookman, who saw that on social media. And now the players, you know, agitating for their match bonuses before heading down, of course, to Marrakesh. What do you make of all of this distraction? We have a crucial game on Saturday against, you know, Algeria. All right. Do you think this, in one way or the other, might affect the players heading down to the encounter?
I mean, I think the players, you know, we got a report that even though they were not able to travel yesterday, you know, they still made sure to train in Fez, in Morocco. So the players are still, you know, locked in. They are mentally locked in. You know, they need it for themselves too. I mean, they know what it means to play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and they haven't forgotten for once. And they've been able to, you know, rewrite the story. A lot of these players are already going down the drain. You know, a lot of Nigerians already had, they did not have high hopes and expectations, but these players have been able to rewrite the story with the help of Eric Chell. So these players have shown to be highly professional. These are professionals, and they know how to do their job. I mean, we saw Moses Simon coming out to say they've been studying the Algerian side, you know, the style of play. So this tells you that the players are locked in and, you know, are ready to go onto the battlefield.
All right, so we hope that there won't be any distraction heading down to that encounter. We just, of course, according to Palibo, they are locked in to make sure that they get the job done on Saturday. Still talking about the team, we understand that Eric Chell, the coach of the Super Eagles, has marked his one-year anniversary in charge for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. The Malian was appointed Super Eagles head coach on January 7, 2025. And Chell's appointment divided opinion among the Super Eagles faithfuls, but he has steadily won over some of his critics, especially with his team's impressive display at the ongoing 2025 African Cup of Nations. On that, a 48-year-old tutelage, the Super Eagles have suffered just one defeat in 16 games, with 10 wins and 5 draws. The West Africans have also scored 34 goals and conceded 15. Chell will look to guide the Super Eagles to another win when they take on the Desert Foxes of Algeria in the quarterfinals of the 2025 African Cup of Nations on Saturday. So I don't know what you make of the records of Coach Eric Chell in the space of 1 year of managing the Super Eagles of Nigeria. 16 games played and just one loss, of course, you know, for the man. I think about we've seen 5 draws, you know, down there at about, I think, 9 wins, you know, or so for him. I don't know what you make of it. 34 goals scored, 15 conceded. How will you rate Eric Chell's 1 year stay with the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
I think we had this discussion earlier, and I told you that for me, Eric Chell, yes, his resume for Nigeria, if you look at it on paper, for me, you know, he has been fantastic. But I said I do not believe he deserves a rating because for me, his whole Super Eagles time will be decided with this AFCON for me. Let's face the facts here. He was brought in to do a job, see if he could qualify Nigeria for the World Cup. You know, going through the group stages, he wasn't able to do that. Though a lot of people say it's not his fault. You know, going into the qualifying stages, we got him through the best losers. It was his responsibility to try and get Nigeria into the international playoff stages. Eric Chell, you know, was not able to do that. So he's failed already in one of his taxes or in one of his obligations for me. And for me, the second one is the AFCON. And we reached the finals in the last AFCON. We were at the finals in the last AFCON. So a lot of the expectations for this Nigerian side will be to win the AFCON. So for me, he doesn't deserve to be rated right now. We need to wait.
It's 1 year. He has actually completed 1 year with
the team. It's 1 year, but what has he achieved in that 1 year? Nothing. We've not been able to win anything. We do not have anything to our name. We've just been able to get results, you know, with a lot of goals conceded. To be honest.
15?
15, yes.
15, and but we scored a lot of goals as well.
In about 16 games,
He scored 35 goals.
in about 16 games, you're conceding 15 goals. That means you're conceding in almost in each game. You're conceding a goal. So
are you saying there is no positive in the space of 1 year?
I don't. There have been balance
with the Super Eagles.
They have been balanced for the team, but we need to put this into perspective. This is not Mali, or this is not Benin Republic, or this is not Togo. Nigeria is a country that deserves results. You know, it's not about getting 9 wins, 10 wins. He wasn't able to qualify us for the World Cup. We have not been able to win the AFCON right now. So I believe if he wants to be rated, I think it has to do with his performance in the ongoing AFCON.
All right, sir. That's the situation of things. Eric Chell has completed his 1 year with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. You know, he has been able to score 35 goals, conceded 15, just 1 loss so far in about 16 games, of course, you know, played in his 1 year with the side. And a lot of question, how will you rate, you know, Eric Chell going forward? But some persons have really come out to praise him in terms of making the team more offensive. You know, we saw a lot of goals coming in his team, and the players, of course, adapting, acclimatizing to his style. And I don't know what you make of it. If you take a look at the Super Eagles team, you really see an identity, a pattern of play, you know, in the team. That is Eric Chell's impact as well in the space of 1 year.
Yes, you could say he has done that, but I still, you know, stand on the fact that he has not been able to give us anything. All those are just results that hasn't amounted to anything.
But you should commend him.
Yes, he deserves.
This is not club football that you say the manager will beat the team every match day or every weekend.
He deserves the accolades.
In a year, Super Eagles can probably meet, let's say, 5 times. And this man has used just 1 year to be able to beat the team. We're seeing
and that's the issue with club, you know, national team football. It doesn't matter when you come, you are expected to deliver. That's the problem. Roberto Martinez was brought into this Portuguese side. They were in a very compromised position, you know, going into the World Cup qualifiers already. They were in a very compromised position. And he was able to turn the ship around for this team. So when it comes to national team football, you look at Thomas Tuchel in England. If Thomas Tuchel is not able to deliver in this World Cup, he will be sacked. There's no time for mediocrity, you know. National team football is a kind of football that it needs results. There's no time, you know, to build. Especially when you're in a nation like Nigeria. You know, when you're supposed to be a competitive nation, you know, it's not a good thing. Nigeria has not gone to the World Cup back to back. It hasn't happened for over 10 years, and this is the first time it's happening in a very long time. And it was one at the helm of affairs when we missed out, you know, on potentially fighting for a playoff spot.
So will you blame Super Eagles not going to the World Cup? Will you blame Eric Chell for that?
He's part of the failure, whether he likes it or not.
Part of the failure?
We got into the third, you know, through the best losers to the next stages of the competition, and we were to play. He was in charge of the 2 games, the knockout phases, for the African. When you win, you'll be able to join, you know, other teams from other countries, the international playoffs. And he wasn't able to get us into the other. He couldn't get us into the latter stages. And I think he was at the helm of affairs, and he deserves the blame too, because it was his responsibility to win us that game. So yes, he has been fantastic. He has given us balance. We've been able to get that stability. You know, the ideology is there. I'm not saying he has been a bad coach. That's not what I'm saying. But I think it's too early to rate Eric Chell. It's too early to sing his praises yet, until he has been able to do something, you know, achievable, you know, something doable for Nigeria, something that we are supposed to do. I mean, winning games is part of his job. He has not done anything out of the blue that we are supposed to be surprised about. So for me, Eric Chell needs to, you know, crown his cherry up with the AFCON trophy, and I think I'll be the first person to sing his praises. But for now, I mean, we need to let him walk. It's a 1-year anniversary for him. Congratulations to him, but I mean, for the Nigerian side, nothing has been achieved. This has been one of our worst footballing years. No thanks, not just him alone, you know, he came in, he has been able to stabilize the ship a little bit, but he needs to win something for me.
All right, that's it. But of course, you can't take away his brilliance so far in the ongoing African Cup of Nations.
Obviously.
The best coach in the group stage of the tournament, even in the round of 16 as well. He was also being tagged, of course, as the best coach, of the tournament. And now they're in the quarterfinal. Been a brilliant run for Eric Chell and the Super Eagles in the ongoing African Cup of Nations.
Yes, Rachel has been brilliant, in this ongoing AFCON. You look at our number of goals scored, the number of goals conceded. We've conceded about 4 goals, and we've scored about 12 goals already. Look, going into this tournament, I mean, the players have been firing on all cylinders. Osimhen, I think he has about 3 goals and some assists. Lookman has 3 goals, 4 assists. Ndidi has been on the score sheet with quite good number of assists also. Ndidi, Shemi Ajayi. So the team is firing on all cylinders. He has been able to build a very solid team for us. And I think we are in pole position. We are one of the favorites going into this one. And I expect us, to go all the way to the final. We wish the team luck. And with what Rachel has been able to do, it won't be a surprise if we go on to win the tournament.
All right, let's see how it goes. We wish the Super Eagles the very best of luck in the quarterfinal stage of the competition. Let's see what Eric Shaw will bring, to the table once again. Away from that, the Confederation of African Football CAF has announced the dates for the draw ceremony of the 2026 Women's African Cup of Nations. Morocco's capital, Rabat, will host the draw on Thursday, 15th of January 2026. 16 teams will participate in the competition for the first time. Host Morocco and defending champions Nigeria are among the teams that will participate in the tournament. The other qualified teams are Algeria, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Cape Verde, Cote d'Ivoire, Egypt, Ghana, Kenya, Malawi, Mali, Senegal, South Africa, Tanzania, and Zambia. The AFCON 2026 finals will run from 17th March to April 2026. So, Epalibo, the next Women African Cup of Nations is very close, as it stands. March, of course, it will kick off, and we hear that the draws, of course, will be made, will be available soon at this point in time. Super Falcons had an incredible run, last time. And this, of course, might also be another impressive time for them. But with the way African women football is growing down in Africa, do you see any other country being a challenge to the Super Falcons of Nigeria, especially in this edition?
I think you look at the Super Falcons and, they've been very fantastic for Nigeria, especially looking at how they were able to win, the last edition of the AFCON, coming down from a 2-goal down cushion, to win that game, for the Nigerian team. They are the most successful, African female team. So you look at this Super Falcons team, they've been fantastic. They've been able to live up to their name. They've been able to live up to the hype. And even on editions where they are not able to win, they go as far as the semi-finals, go as far as the quarterfinals. So going into this one, Nigeria is a team that every team is afraid of meeting them because they have solid knowledge. They have the experience. They are one of the legends when you talk about African female sport, female football in Africa. The Nigerian team is the most successful side. So I mean, coming up against Nigeria, going into every edition of the WAFCON, Nigerians are always favourite to win.
All right, let's see how it goes. Super Falcons also getting ready for the next edition of the Women African Cup of Nations. I mean, last time it was really an impressive one. Where we saw the coach of the Super Falcons, Justin Madugu. Of course, he was, after that impressive performance, he was also nominated as one of the best, coaches in that period of, football. In the Ballon d'Or was a very surprising one, to see. And for me, I think was a huge one. Let's see if Justin Madugu can replicate that same feat, of course, in this edition of the Women African Cup of a nation. A lot to expect from the coach as well as the players. But at this point, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll talk club football on the show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back as the Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network, and of course, we'll bring you the latest revolving around the beautiful world of sports. Palibo, of course, still here, and of course, giving us some decisive analysis on the show this evening. Let's talk club football as Fulham claimed a 2-1 victory over Chelsea at the Craven Cottage, leaving the Blues to ponder their struggles as new head coach Liam Resinel observed from the stand. Chelsea were reduced to 10 men in the 22nd minute when Mark Cucurella was shown a red card for a professional foul on Harry Wilson. The early dismissal put caretaker manager Colum MC Falan side on the back foot for the remainder of the match. The result leaves Chelsea in 8th place below Brentford, while Fulham climbed to 31 points, staying firmly in the top half of the Premier League. Fans expressed their frustration with blue call out banners and chants against the club's ownership on display. Chelsea disciplinary issues were also highlighted as this marks the club's 8th red cards of the season, including the previous sending off for former boss Enzo Maresca. A whole lot's happening down there at Chelsea Football Club in Palibo. They sacked Enzo Maresca. Now they've got a new manager, but things, continue going bad, for Chelsea. The fans are not happy with the owners, of the team as it stands. I don't know what you make of it. Yesterday, maybe a draw would have possibly salvaged things, after also getting a draw against Manchester City, but losing all 3 points yesterday and, of course, going down to 8th position on the log was another disappointing one for Chelsea fans. How do you see all of this, at Chelsea?
Yes, it's a sad one for Chelsea. I mean, they've faced instability, over the past couple of seasons. And when they finally, seem to have a little bit of stability with a coach like Enzo Maresca, who had a majority of the squad, majority of the fan base, behind him, they sacked him. They met a mutual agreement, and both parties, decided to call it a day. And that has been a problem for the fans. They want stability in the club. They want the club to be able to compete, for the league, for the Champions League. I mean, winning the Conference League and the Club World Cup is not enough. They need to fight, for these trophies. They need to fight for the league. They need to fight for the Champions League. And I mean, before Enzo Maresca poor run of form, at a point Chelsea was, battling for second place with Manchester City at some point. And even as of the game they played with Arsenal, where they had a 2-2 draw at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea were about going to second, on that game, but they failed to capitalize on it. So, I mean, yes, that result was not coming in, but sacking the coach, at this particular point in time, has proven to be a very, very bold and very, very risky, decision for the board. But there's one thing about Chelsea. Anytime it happens like this, and they bring in a caretaker manager, they seem to win something special for themselves. It has happened over again, when they first won the Champions League in 2012, and also when they won the second Champions League with Thomas Tuchel in 2021. This is how it happened, middle of the season, the board, the fans against the board, and all things like this. So I urge, the Chelsea fans to be patient with their club and the coach, because I mean, this is a coach that finally they've gotten a coach that shares the same ideology and mentality with the club, with the administration, and let's see if he's going to be able to work with what they've said. I mean, he was there on the stand, and that has given him a glimpse of the team he's coming to take over. And so let's hope he has chosen McFarlane to be his assistant coach also. So I mean, together they might be able to do something with Chelsea. I mean, I honestly believe Liam Rosenau will be able to cook at Chelsea.
Well, do you see them finishing at least in the top 4 position, looking at the results we've seen so far?
I mean, the Premier League this season has shown to be very, very competitive, and you do not have the opportunity, and you do not have the freedom, to lose points, the way Chelsea has done. So I mean, getting into that top 4 will be a very hard spot, especially when you have about three teams fighting for the title. So it's going to be a very hard one. It seems like you just have one spot, remaining up for grab, and you have teams like Liverpool, Newcastle, a lot of teams, fighting for the same spot. So it's going to be a hard one for Chelsea. But Liam Rosino, I don't think he's under pressure, to finish at the top four this season. I think he has been tasked, with bringing stability to the club. He has been tasked with, maybe his job will start next season. I mean, if we are to have expectation of Liam Rosino, it has to be from next season for me.
All right, so we have to keep our fingers keep our fingers crossed and see what Rosino, of course, will bring down there to Chelsea Football Club. All right, so away from that, let's bring you other results as Bournemouth beat Tottenham Hotspur 3-2 in that encounter. Did you see that result coming in Palibo?
I won't say I'll be surprised, because you look at Tottenham Hotspur, their away form has been poor. It has not been a good one for Tottenham this season, and also last season they've not been able to get victories. There's been a problem for them going away to get those results. So I mean, it didn't come as a surprise looking at how Tottenham has been able to play away from home.
And of course, we saw Brentford beating Sunderland by 3-0. Crystal Palace played goalless against Aston Villa. Everton played 1-0 against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Fulham beat Chelsea by 2-1. Manchester City, they keep dropping points. They drew yesterday against Brighton and Hove Albion 1-0 in that one. Ipalibo City dropping points massively. They dropped against Chelsea, and yesterday they also dropped against Brighton.
Sad one there for Pep Guardiola, and this Manchester City side. I mean, in recent weeks, looking at how close they've gotten, to Arsenal at some point, the gap was close to about 2 points, and it has, since then, they've not been able to get those results, consistently. Not taking away the injury problem this team has faced, but Pep Guardiola they have been active in the market, Manchester City have been active in the market. We've heard reports of Semenyo, already coming, to solidify his deal to Manchester City. And also, you look at them, they are actively looking for a defender. We've heard reports of Guehi also being one of the favorites to get to Manchester City. So you look at this team, and Pep Guardiola is not giving up. I mean, it's a 5-point gap that can be increased to 8 points today, but looking at it now, it's just a 5 points gap. And a 5-point gap is not something that can't be covered up. I mean, they are going to be waiting for those loopholes where Arsenal are going to drop points. Arsenal, they will have the opportunity to play Arsenal, and if they are eventually able to win Arsenal, it's going to be reduced to 2 points. So I mean, a 5-point gap is not something that Manchester City needs to give up on. So they are still active in the race. If Pep is able to get the squad he needs, he's able to get those players he needs, I think it's not going to be an easy ride for Arsenal FC. All
right, let's see how it goes. We'll look forward to see if Manchester City will bounce back going forward, because they really dropped points as it stands. But Burnley yesterday played to a draw against Manchester United. Not the result United fans wanted.
Not the result Manchester United fan will want. I mean, but coming from sacking your manager, I mean, you do not expect a whole lot. But Darren Fletcher has been able to come into this team. He has been able to, I think this is his first game in charge as interim manager, and he's gotten a 2-2 draw. And Benjamin Sesko, was able to get 2 goals for the team. We also saw the introduction of an academic player, also Liam in that one. He was fantastic for them yesterday. So I mean, they've been a lot of positives. They've played in the back four, and the team has been able to get a little bit of balance. You look at the way they played yesterday; it was more impressive for me than what they've seen, with Amorim. So let's see if Darren Fletcher, he's also looking to build his CV from this. He would always want to impress, to see if maybe, just maybe, he might be given the job. Because let's not forget, Darren Fletcher is an ex-Manchester United player, and that bias and that sentiment will be there. If he's able to prove that hey, look, I can be able to run us to the end of the season. I mean, the club might just have that faith and trust in him, to maybe just give him a contract.
And of course, yesterday it was Newcastle United 4, Leeds United 3. Tonight it's going to be Arsenal against Liverpool, a very, very important fixture in Palibo. Arsenal, they win tonight. They extend their lead on the Premier League table to 8 points, and that will be a very, very important one for them. Do you see them grabbing all 3 points tonight?
I see them grabbing all 3 points, but I do not expect it to come easy for them. I mean, this Arsenal side, they have been, really fantastic. Even when they've not played well, they've been able to grind out those results. And it's one thing about them, they do not give up, and they are always fighting. And they have that winners mentality. They've seemed to have grown. You look at them, they fought for the league. They on 3 different occasions, and a lot of these players have learned from their lessons. A lot of these players have the experience of the Premier League now. They are a unit, and you see the team, they move as a unit. Everybody defends as a unit. Everybody, attacks as a unit. And overall, the disciplinary issue with this Arsenal side, we've seen this team, take control of the disciplinary issue. Last season, by this time last season, Arsenal has already gotten up to 4 to 5 red cards already. But this season has been a different story for the team. So this Arsenal side has grown. They've shown a lot of growth, and with the addition they've had to the squad, Gyökeres, though he has not been able to get those goals, but he has been an integral part of this team. And Zubimendi has been able to blend in well, after the sale of Partey. So Declan Rice has proven to be very important for this team. He has been a leader. Gabriel Magalhaes is back to the team, and we're also hearing of Havertz, he's already back with the squad for this match. So this Arsenal side, they are beginning to get back together. I mean, the Arsenal we saw, at some point in October, were very dominant, not conceding goals, in about 10 games. So you look at this Arsenal side, on a good day, when they want to be, when they are at their best, they are unplayable. And currently, this is a match that means a lot to them. And I mean, this player want to give their all. So you look at Liverpool's current situation, how they've been able to struggle, especially with some of their players, out in the AFCON. It has not been easy. I mean, they played at the goalless draw with Leeds at home. So it's not going to be an easy one for Liverpool. So I'm having the belief that Arsenal want to take advantage of this problem of Liverpool, and also the hunger and how they want the trophy. I think Arsenal going to win this one for me.
Arsenal, of course, really fighting for a trophy this season. You see them firing in all cylinders in the Premier League, in the League Cup, even in the UEFA Champions League. How far do you see them go? How many trophies do you see them grab? Because they're at the front of, most of the tournaments, this season.
Yes, we saw Arsenal, before now, Arteta did not really pay attention when it comes to, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. But recently, we've seen him, try to put in key players when it comes to these competitions, and it has paid off. Arsenal they're already in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup, and also they're going into the 4th round of the FA Cup. They are number 1, on the UEFA Champions League table. They have the best defensive record in this season of the UEFA Champions League. And you look at them in the Premier League, they are number 1. So I mean, Arsenal, are throwing their nets everywhere and see where they are going to be able to get that trophy. But one thing is sure and certain, Arteta's job depends on the success of this season. I mean, if he is to have a job, at the end of the season, I mean, he has to win a trophy for me, because he has been at the helm of affairs, for about 6 years. And there have not been any major trophy to show for it, just one FA Cup, and I think he needs to do better. Eric Ten Hag, in a short span, was able to win 2 trophies for Chelsea, for Manchester United. Enzo Maresca also was able to win 2 trophies in a very short period of time. And you look at Arteta, he has not been able to win anything. And the slot came last season and was able to win the league for Liverpool. So I mean, the pressure is on Mikel Arteta, and he doesn't want to take anything for granted. He'll tell you he's focusing on the Premier League and the Champions League, but this season he has decided to focus on everywhere. Let's see where can give him a trophy, because I believe Mikel Arteta's career at Arsenal depends on how successful he is this season.
Some are saying, can they do a treble this season? A whole lot, at this point it's there for Arsenal, but one would say which one is should be more of a priority for them: the Premier League, which they haven't won up for over 20 years now, and the Champions League, which of course they haven't won before in the history of the club.
Yeah, I mean, for Arsenal, these 2 should be a priority for them. I mean, with the investment they've made with Mikel Arteta, I mean, if winning the two is attainable, I mean, Arsenal were able to reach the semi-finals of the Champions League last season and only lost that, to the winners of that one, talking about Paris Saint-Germain. So you look at this Arsenal side, the season before last, they were able to get to the quarterfinals, and there have been growth for this Arsenal. There has been growth. So this Arsenal side also, they've gained the experience in the Champions League. So I won't be surprised, seeing Arsenal, winning the league and the Champions League. They have not been able to win. They are not serial winners, they've not proven to be serial winners, but I mean, Mikel Arteta is trying to change the narrative here at Arsenal, and I mean, his eyes are on those two, trust me. You've heard the boys talk about Saka, you've heard Saliba talk, and their eyes are on trophies, not just a trophy. They plan on winning multiple trophies with Arsenal, so I mean, it's achievable.
Achievable. We'll see what the future holds for Arsenal when it comes to, of course, winning titles this season. Let's bring you results, from other centers. Barcelona beat Athletic Club yesterday, 5 goals today in the Super Cup. Tonight is going to be an interesting one as we see Atletico Madrid against Real Madrid. This, of course, promises to be another electrifying game down there in Spain.
Yeah, it's going to be an electrifying one, it's going to be a tough fixture, Real Madrid is coming up against Atletico Madrid has always been a salty game. It has always been, a rivalry. One of the top clubs, the strongest clubs, in Spanish football. It's a rivalry, it's a derby. The two Madristas are coming to play themselves, and these teams, boast of the best of players in La Liga. So it's going to be a very tough fixture. And I mean, with one man out, I'm talking about Kylian Mbappe. There hasn't been Gonzalo Garcia as well has been able to step up. So I mean, a lot of eyes, especially I also, I'm looking out for Gonzalo Garcia. Let's see what he's going to be able to do. He was able to score a hat-trick, in their previous game against Betis. And I mean, in the Club World Cup, he was able to do well. I think he won the highest goal scorer in the Club World Cup. So you look at Gonzalo Garcia, I mean, this is a talent, and a lot of eyes, including me, will be watching out for him. I think it's going to be a tough fixture.
A top feature, of course, indeed. And yesterday we saw some results in the Serie A as Bologna lost to Atalanta by 2 goals to 0. Napoli played 2-1 draw against Hellas Verona. Lazio played 2-1 draw against Fiorentina. Parma lost to Inter Milan by 2 goals to 0. Torino lost to Udinese by 2 goals to 1. Cremonese and Cagliari will be in action tonight as AC Milan was Locons against Girona as well tonight. And away from that, we'll also see in the French Cup, Paris Saint-Germain will be in action against Marseille. Another interesting, of course, cracker to watch out for tonight. But Ipalibo, before we call it a wrap on the show, we hear that Semedo is at the Etihad Stadium, as we speak, getting ready to, of course, boost Manchester City this season. I don't know what you make of Semedo down to City.
Yes, for me personally, I'm trying to be optimistic for this move. You look at Antoine Semenyo, he has been fantastic for this Bournemouth side, but he's going over to Manchester City. I mean, it's going to be a different ball game altogether. Let's see if his confidence, he has the confidence, to work wonders, in Manchester City. I mean, in Manchester City, he is not guaranteed a starting place. He's no more the key man. He's no more the key figure, he's no more the star player, he's just as normal as every player, and he has to fight for his starting position. So I mean, maybe that can wake up, a new fire for him, So it's going to be difficult for Arsenal, especially with Manchester City, looking for possible ways in the market, to boost out of their score. It shows them they are still active and they really want to fight for this Premier League title.
All right, let's see how it goes for Semedo. Wishing the very best of luck down there at Manchester City. But at this point, we'll call it a wrap on the show. Special thanks to Ipalibo for doing justice of the show this evening. And of course, we really do appreciate your time with us. But you can go down to different social media handle, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and X. The conversation, continues right there. My name is Kingsley Madwa. Thanks for watching.